Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Lily. I am so happy you're here with me. In today's video, I am going to make DIY Rolodex cards, and this is one that I've already made off camera. I was inspired by a Rolodex card that I made around 2019, and I thought it was time that I recreate that card. It is my favorite. I keep it in my memorydex, and I'll show you my memorydex towards the end of the video so you can see how it is that I store all of my cards. I use these cards as my business cards, and so on the back is where I add all of my business information. I know the lighting is kind of funky, but I'll show you up close as soon as we get over to the crafty loft. I made a couple off camera. The ones that I am going to create today are going to be slightly different based on whatever it is that I have in my stash. I am going through my things and I'm just using whatever I come across, but they will be very similar to this one. Aren't they so cute? They are so vibrant, so colorful, and they are Frida inspired. I love these so much. So I can't wait to show you how we can recreate these, and I'll go over all of those supplies as well. Anyway, are you guys ready to get started? Let's hop on over to the crafty loft and let's get going. See you there. I've got all of my tools and all of my supplies ready to go. This is one of my favorite rubber stamps. It is called Homage to Frida by Dina Wakley. I've had this one for quite some time. I use it often. Can you tell which one I use the most? This one right here. Just look at how grungy Frida looks. But I do use this stamp a lot. This is one of my most favorite Rolodex cards to make. I mentioned that earlier. I'm also going to use some muslin fabric. I am going to stamp Frida's pretty little face onto the muslin fabric. I have my acrylic block ready to go, and I'm going to use this Ranger archival ink in jet black. And I've done so in the past. This is a card that I made, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and this was the inspiration. I think it was time for me to recreate these again. They won't be exact. I'm just using supplies that I have in my stash. I have made a few off camera. Let me just show you what they look like. I know I shared a sneak peek of them on my Instagram. I'm using some little dimensional flowers and some trim that I picked up when I was in Mexico last summer. And then I use these as my business cards, as I mentioned. And so every time I send out either Happy Mail or I ship out an order from my Etsy shop, I keep these in my memorydex, and I just pull from the memorydex and I place those in the order. They do vary. I don't always use the same ones. And so I recently sent out, I think it was 7 junk journal orders, and I put a Rolodex card in each order. They are different from these. These I just barely made for future orders. So I just wanted to make that clear. I wish I would have made these before, then they would have gone in the recent orders, but these are for future orders. So now I am going to cut strips of the muslin fabric. This is really thin fabric, but I don't need it to be any heavier. And I only need as much fabric. Well, I only need enough, I should say, for her little face. I'm not going to show too much of her shoulders or even her crown because I'm going to cover those areas up. I just mainly want to make sure that I stamp Frida's face onto the muslin, and so I'm cutting those down, the little strips, small. I'm cutting them down narrow, and then I'm going to show you how I'm just going to cut them apart. I need them to be somewhat small so they can fit on these beautiful Rolodex cards. I have DIY'd these Rolodex cards, and when I say DIY, I have a die with this shape. All links that are relevant to a lot of the supplies that I'm using today will be in the description area below, but this is one of my favorite dies to use. And I love that like scalloped edge on the top. And then I used beautiful Anna Griffin cardstock. This is a heavier weight cardstock, so it will last for a long time. And this is the beautiful die that I used. And just open up the description area and you will see affiliate links down there. If you have any questions, just please don't be shy. Let me know in the comment section below. So now I'm going to gently press my stamp onto my ink pad. And the reason I say gently is because I just recently juiced it up. I refilled it. And so if I press too hard, it's going to make a mess. So just very, very gently. And I don't need to apply a lot of pressure. You know, the fabric is really thin and it absorbs the ink really well. I'm going to stamp these pretty close to each other. I'm going to try to get at least 4 of the Fridas onto this narrow strip of muslin, and then I will cut each individual piece. And if you are going to be making something similar, you can use basically any type of ink that you have. I have stamped with Tim Holtz's oxide inks and the distress inks. Those work great on muslin. I've also used StazOn ink. So, you know, use what you have. Experiment, play around, and play around with the fabrics that you have. So I'm going to do another 4. I'm going to work on 4 DIY Rolodex cards today, but I'm stamping out 8 of them just in case I decide to make more in the future. I've got Frida's little face ready to go. I'm shopping my stash and going through the supplies that I have to recreate things I've already made in the past. The inspiration card that I showed you a moment ago, oh, she's right here on the right hand side. I used a heavier weight cotton fabric, but because muslin is what I have, in fact, I bought a whole roll of it at the fabric store a few years ago, and I still have a ton of it left. And I'm shopping my stash and I'm using up the things that I have. So now I am going to cut these Frida faces down so that they fit perfectly on the Rolodex card. With the Rolodex cards that I made off camera, if you notice up above, the trim is kind of low at the very bottom. And so I'm going to try to position that beautiful trim a little bit higher. It fit fine in my Rolodex, but I also don't want, you know, the little trim to come up to, you know, come up to Frida's little mouth. So I'm going to try to raise it just a little bit, and we'll see how that turns out. So I'm just cleaning these up. I don't mind that they're fraying at the end. I think it gives it much more interest, but I just want to clean them up a little bit. I don't have any more of the burlap, and I really, really, really like the way the burlap looks in the background, but I did come across this beautiful lace trim. I am going to just cut a piece that is just as wide as the Rolodex card, and this is to layer and to give more visual interest and to add, you know, different textures. And I really like the way this looks, but I wish I still had some of the burlap. But like I said, I am shopping my stash and I'm just using supplies that I have and working with what I have. The Anna Griffin paper I've had for a while, and I meant to mention that a while ago. I can't remember where I got it, but I just love all Anna Griffin things. They are so beautiful and shabby, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful design. And the cardstock, I recommend if you are going to make some of these, use somewhat of a heavy cardstock because it will just, it'll last longer, because if you're going to put it into a Rolodex or memorydex and you're going to be flipping through it, you want to make sure that they're sturdy enough, that the card is sturdy enough to withstand, you know, that rotation in your memorydex. So just something to think about. I'm now going to, well, I just took some Fabri-Tac glue and adding the little Frida faces. I'm trying to get the little Frida faces up as high as I possibly can so that when it comes time to add the trim is there to kind of mimic like a shawl or even part of a dress. And so that's why I did that little trim there. And so I'm trying to glue the little faces down slightly higher this time so I can have enough room to add the trim so it doesn't interfere with the notches, with the Rolodex notches down at the bottom. I'm using Fabrifix or Fabri-Tac. It's basically the same thing because I'm working with fabric and it dries fairly fast. But I'm also going to be using, I have my hot glue gun ready to go on the right hand side. And you know what? I think my hot glue gun is on its last leg because it's not even pushing the glue stick through anymore. And I keep saying I'm going to switch it out. I'm going to just get rid of it, just dump it because I'm struggling with the glue, with the hot glue gun. And I have two others that I can use. They're mini glue guns, and I don't know why I just don't get it done, but because I keep giving it the benefit of the doubt. It's like the little train, you know, the one that is chewing up the hill. I think I can. That's the benefit of the doubt I'm giving my glue gun. It's like, I think I can. And then I get to the point where it's not working and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so frustrating. So this may be the last time you see that green glue gun. And I'll show you that in just a moment. I don't struggle with it on camera, but I did struggle with it off camera. I use this little rubber or silicone spatula. It's almost like a third hand. It works so good so that you don't get sticky fingers. So I'm trying to avoid getting all of this Fabrifix on my fingers. And that's why I'm also using the tweezers to handle the muslin. But the silicone also works really well to hold down items that you have glued with hot glue gun so you don't burn your fingers. So, and I think I may have picked that one up at Dollar Tree. And so it's one of those tools that I highly recommend that you keep in your toolbox, your crafty stash, is this silicone spatula. It comes in handy when you're gluing things down. Plus, I also don't want to get that Fabrifix on my fingernails because it may just damage. Because I think the Fabrifix is acetone based, and so if you have nail polish, you don't want that glue on your fingernails because it will make it come off. And so now let's see, what's my next step? I didn't do a lot of editing, so there's a lot of pausing in between. Usually I'll edit out things like this so that the video flows a little bit long, flows smoother. But I obviously missed a few things, so you'll see me fidget with the things on the table. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I keep this cute little jewelry box that I picked up at a thrift store. It's a gold filigree and glass jewelry box. It's vintage. I absolutely love it. And it holds all of my mini florals. And there is just an array of flowers in here. Some of them are these tiny little ribbon flowers. Others are paper flowers. But these are the absolutely perfect size for Frida's crown. And so I'll add about 3 or 4 flowers in different styles just to add, more beautiful interest. And then I will tuck a tiny little daisy right between all of the others. Do you see how well, when you're working with small items and you're using hot glue gun, it's best to have either some tweezers, maybe a clothespin, and this silicone spatula to hold things down. And this will really, really save your fingers from getting burnt, because I can't tell you how many times I have burnt myself. And so these little tools come in handy. If you ask me what tools, what are my #1 tools? Well, these little tweezers, it did take me a while to get used to them, but now I can't live without them. And of course my spatula. And then in other videos, you see me use a a scraper, which was originally meant to be used for Bondo in the automotive industry. So those are some of my most favorite tools. And then I'm tucking in flowers, maybe 4, maybe 5 flowers, until I think it looks perfect. So this is beautiful trim that I picked up when I went to Mexico last summer. My sister and I went shopping to one of the fabric stores that was in town. And I don't know where this trim was made, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's not trim that was made in Mexico. I want to say that it may have been made in India, which I absolutely love. I love. And because there are similarities in the colors and with, I've seen a lot of beautiful items that were made in India that were being sold in Mexico. And I think it's just because of the similar color pattern and designs. But regardless, I loved this trim, and there were other colors. I had to stop myself from buying even more beautiful trim. And one of the reasons why I also didn't get more trim is the fabric store was short-staffed, and as the young lady was helping me with all, I mean, I had so much trim, you guys, so much trim for her to cut. The line behind me was getting so long, and so I kind of felt bad that I was having people wait because I was buying so many trims. And so I just narrowed it down, but I made sure that I grabbed these. Next time I go, I will definitely stop into that fabric store and pick up more beautiful trims. So this is where I'm using the hot glue gun to adhere the trim. And I want these to dry fairly quick, and that's one of the reasons why I use the glue gun and not the Fabrifix. The Fabrifix, for some reason, right now, it's really hot where I am. We're in the mid-90s today, and I don't know if that had something to do with the consistency of the Fabrifix, but it was really stringy. I love how fluid it is, especially because it's so warm. But it was really stringy, and I didn't want to mess with that. Not that the hot glue gun isn't just as stringy, but it's less stringy, if you know what I mean. We haven't yet turned on the air conditioning here in the house because the weather for a minute there was kind of wacko. It was winter one day and then summer the next day. So we just turned everything off. We just turned the whole thing off. And we have a new air conditioning and furnace. Well, it's not new. It was installed last year. And I still haven't figured out how to use the thermostat. So once I figure that out, I need to turn on the air conditioning because, man, I'm upstairs. And you know how heat rises? Oh my gosh, it was so hot today when I was working on these. So I need to fix that. I am going to use these labels. These are by Tim Holtz, and I absolutely love these. I love the sentiments, and these are, do you guys remember the old, I don't know what they were called, Dino label, I think is what it is. And I actually have a Dino label maker, the kind where you kind of, it has little alphabet wheel and you turn it. Well, the results are just like this. So Tim Holtz has these amazing little vinyl labels. And I should try finding some of that label, that sticky label, so that I can use my Dino label maker that I bought at a thrift store. But I love these. They are super sticky, so I don't have to worry about adding any more adhesive to the back. And I think that these sentiments that I'm choosing go really well with Frida, and especially the one, I think there's one there that I use, and it reads, "Use your wings." And you know, Frida has a quote, and the quote, I can't remember the exact quote off the top of my head, but it's something along the lines of, "Why do I need legs if I have wings to fly?" So something like that. Don't quote me. I'm quoting Frida off of memory, but it's something like that. So I think these quotes go really well. I think that if you are going to work with little faces and you're also going to be adding sentiments, adding a sentiment to your face, whatever face you use, okay, whether it's hand-drawn, it's stamped, whatever it is that you have, when it comes time to add a sentiment, your sentiment is going to give your little face a personality. And you'll notice that whatever sentiment you choose, once you place it down next to your little face, it gives that face so much more meaning and personality, and it almost as if your little face comes to life. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so the next step is I'm going to use some of my business labels. These are just labels that I print on address labels, and it has all of my information, my name, my email, and all of my social platforms, my YouTube, my Etsy, and I think my Instagram is on there also. And I'm not going to do anything fancy. I usually just stick that label on the back of the card, but I thought I'd get really, really creative this time and add a little bit of washi tape on the back side, just to add another layering element to the back. And then I'm just going to position the address label right next to it. I only have two because I used them all up, so I have to go back to the printer and print a new sheet of the address labels. But I can do that later. I just wanted to show you what I'm doing. And this is beautiful washi tape that I purchased from Amity Bloom. Amity Bloom, I'm sure everybody knows Amity Bloom. She makes beautiful, beautiful journals. And she has beautiful digitals. I don't work with a lot of digitals, you guys. I just don't. I know that I was on a design team for a while, and I just love all of those digitals. But when it comes to like every day, I don't use them as much as I would like to. I love the digitals. I just don't use them as much. I think it's because I want to use the supplies that I already have. But anyway, Amity Bloom, she has beautiful washi tape. She releases washi tape designs every once in a while. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just adding my address labels to the back, and there you go. Voila! Those are my business cards, and here are the 4 that we have made today. I'll have a little slideshow for you at the end of the video so you could see all 8 up close and personal. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments section below. I think you guys are awesome, and I appreciate you hanging out with me and supporting my YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Share with all of your friends. You guys are so awesome. Thank you. And this is my memorydex. This is where I keep all of my DIY Rolodex cards. Some of them are really embellished, really dimensional, and others are much more simple. I do have a flip through of my memorydex. It's an old video, like from early 2020. I will link that video up above for you, but I think it's time for me to do a new flip through of this. And I'm sorry I didn't add it to this video, but I will do one coming soon. I should do that coming soon. But you guys will see the little slideshow at the end. And do you see how perfect they fit there? Even though I know the trim is kind of low, it still fits perfectly on my memorydex. Thank you again for being here. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed making these. These are some of my favorite Rolodex cards to make. And let me know if you plan on working on something similar. You guys take care, and I will see you next time. Bye!